Well, now, isn't this interesting? I started working on trying, just trying to come up with sort of a plan to kind of neaten all of this up. And I thought, okay, well, this area we've kind of been just kind of throwing some random stuff in here. And wouldn't it be nice if I kind of neatened it up and dug it out far enough that we could stick another brick in there, another paver, whatever you want to call it. And this right here is already sitting in here. It's just been buried by the years. So I'm going to go ahead and keep sort of cleaning this up. I'm going to go back a little bit further and then maybe put a cap on top of it and put a paver down below. Maybe a couple of pavers to work my way over a little bit. But it's just kind of interesting that I find something's already there. So why get rid of it? Let's just work with it. Well, now that's a little better. And I'm actually kind of surprised how well my new phone is doing with the sort of night sight, or whatever you want to call it. Low light, it's coming up pretty clean. So I've cleared out that section of the wall back to the next little jog there, and I guess that's why there's a plant. There's a jade plant in there. It's kind of on the corner of it, not actually in it, but I'm thinking what I'm going to do is get a few pavers, like I said, down below, and maybe some pavers up above, or a shorter version of the pavers. I got to take a couple of measurements before I go pick them up, but that's just a simple way to kind of recover some space. It'll make it look that much neater. I can take some of the junk that's over there and put it in here, or we can even put some potted plants, but at least it'll be sort of a good staging area. I got to figure out how I'm going to kind of retain the hill there. Oh yeah, and all the excess dirt that was in here, I've now tossed up onto the hill to it kind of rebuilds the hill. Basically, over time, the rain hits and washes some of it down here, and I guess it was long enough that it just completely buried that. But wow. Anyway, you're seeing it kind of as I'm seeing it, so I'm excited to move forward with this particular part of the project. Okay, folks, so it's about time to mow the lawn, and there's something I've been thinking about, an idea I had. Trying to actually, basically the idea is mow the lawn and use the clippings as mulch above my plants. Instead of going out and buying something, I'm basically upcycling green waste here. So my thought was, okay, I got a rake to try and get some of the nasty stuff out of the lawn. Namely, I don't know how well that's going to come through. We've got these little red seeds that all come from the pepper tree. And I thought, okay, I'll rake those up before I mow, and then I'll take the clippings. But then as I started to rake, I realized there's other stuff in there besides just that. So I think ultimately what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to go further out in the lawn, where we don't have the pepper tree, peppercorns out here, probably kind of up along this area here. I'm going to rake because there's some dead grass in there and that could be useful. And then I'm going to mow a section and empty the bag, and we'll just see what that does. Okay, so we've got a couple of small buckets here. The first one is what I was trying to do, just get rid of as much debris as possible and have mostly grass. Unfortunately, there's just no way to completely eliminate. It turns out that other section is under a pine tree, so we've got pine needles. And this was kind of more of the same, but without the raking. So it did pick up more pine needles and the occasional little peppercorn in there. So I'm going to go ahead and try and spread these. I got to decide exactly how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and spread them and I'll come back. Okay, this is going to be one of those where I have to go back to my notes, but what I ended up deciding to do was taking the sort of first batch, the one without so much pine needles, put that in here, put a little bit of the overflow into the next one. This, I forget exactly what's there. I'll go ahead and put a note up in post. And I believe these were pea plants here, and I realized as I was trying to separate, there's two plants there. I was trying to separate them to be able to put the mulch around it, and they were actually kind of tied together, so I think they were looking for a pole to climb up, so I gave them something to start with. We'll see what happens with that. Same with back there. That was ultimately, so this is a mix of sort of batch 1 and batch 2. That's batch 2. And over here we've got the first of the squash planters, and that's all batch 2. So we'll leave the other one as is, and we'll see if something germinates first. And that's it for this.